The man in the shadowed hallway outside stage 12 was cold, too cold for a Los Angeles morning. Ana de Armas stood there, shivering slightly, not from the chill, but from something deeper. Nerves. She had just finished a long day of filming. The lights had gone down, the cameras shut off, the crew scattered like dust in the wind. But she stayed, still holding the weight of the final scene in her chest. She looked down at her phone, fingers trembling. 6 missed calls from a number she didn't recognize. 1 voicemail? Her thumb hovered, unsure whether to press play. But something else caught her eye before she could. A man silent, still sitting on a bench in the far corner of the hallway. He wore a black hoodie, the hood pulled low, and his posture was relaxed, almost too relaxed. She recognized him instantly. Even in the dim light, even with most of his face shadowed, Keanu Reeves, he hadn't been on set that day. Not in the script, not in the schedule. But there he was, like a ghost watching over a memory. Ana took a few hesitant steps toward him, unsure why she felt pulled, unsure what she might say. She hadn't spoken to Keanu in weeks, not since the table read, when she had broken down in front of the cast and walked out humiliated, but he had been the only one who didn't look away. "You okay?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Keanu looked up slowly. His eyes were kind, tired but kind. "I'm not the one shaking," he said gently. Ana laughed, but it came out brittle. Her hands rubbed her arms. "Just a long day, that's all." Didn't speak again. Just nodded once, as if saying more would ruin something fragile between them. She sat beside him, not too close, not too far. The silence stretched, comforting, not awkward. "You didn't have to stay," she said finally. "I know it." "Why did you?" Keanu looked at the far wall. His eyes didn't move, but she could feel something building behind them, something he wasn't ready to let out. "Because someone once waited for me," he said, when no one else did. Ana didn't know what to say to that. She thought she was here to ask him something, maybe to explain her breakdown, maybe to apologize for disappearing. But now, sitting next to him, she realized she wasn't here for answers. She was here for quiet, but quiet with meaning. "Ever feel like you're just pretending to be strong?" she asked. Keanu's face softened every day. The words fell between them like a shared secret. Ana looked down at her hands and suddenly remembered something, an old letter she had written to herself as a teenager, back in Cuba, saying she would never let fear win. And yet, lately fear had been everywhere. "My agent says if I walk off another set, I'll lose my contract," she whispered. "They're calling me difficult now, Ana the diva. I didn't want this. I just needed a moment to breathe." "Then breathe," Keanu said. "Let them wait." Ana turned to him, surprised. "Easy for you to say. You're Keanu Reeves. They'd wait for you." "They waited because I stopped pretending," he said. "Not because I'm famous." That hit her harder than she expected. There was a soft buzz in her pocket. Another call. She silenced it without looking. Keanu glanced at her but didn't ask who it was. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small folded piece of paper. He placed it gently on the bench between them. "Someone gave this to me years ago," he said. "I think maybe it's yours now." Ana hesitated, then picked it up and unfolded it. The paper was old, creased at the corners, and written in careful handwriting were 5 words. "Be kind to your shadows." She stared at the words. Her chest tightened. "What does it mean?" she asked. Keanu leaned back against the wall. "It means the parts of you you're afraid of, your fears, your regrets, your mistakes, those are the parts that need your kindness the most. Not punishment, not shame. Kindness." Ana looked at him for a long time. No one had ever said that to her. People told her to be better, to fix herself, to toughen up. But no one had ever said to be kind to the very parts she hated. And now, a man who had survived loss, grief, and decades in the spotlight had handed her this gift without asking for anything in return. "Why are you really here tonight?" Keanu didn't answer at first. Then he spoke, voice low. "Because I knew tonight would be hard for you." Ana's throat tightened. "How?" I listened, he said. People talk. They don't think I hear, but I do. And I remember what you said at the table read. About your father. About losing him. Today's the anniversary, isn't it? Her eyes filled with tears. She nodded. You remembered that? She asked. Keanu gave a small smile. Some things matter more than scripts. The hallway fell silent. Again, but this time it was warm. Heavy, but safe. Ana wiped her eyes and laughed softly. You always do this. Do what? Make people feel seen? Keanu shrugged. It's not a superpower. It's just paying attention. But to Ana, it was more than that. It was grace, and she didn't know it yet. But this quiet moment would be the start of everything that came next. Every truth, every storm, every revelation, and someday she would look back and realize that he had done something for her no one else had. He waited, without asking, without expecting. Just waited, and that changed everything. The letter in the dark. Ana didn't sleep that night. The letter Keanu had given her stayed on her nightstand. It was just a small piece of paper, folded over once, almost nothing. But it felt heavy, like it carried the weight of something older. Then both of them. Be kind to your shadows. Those words followed her into dreams, then into the early morning light that broke through her curtains. She had planned to go to the gym, maybe take a run to clear her head. Instead, she sat cross-legged. On the floor, her back against the wall, just stared at the letter. When her phone buzzed again, she picked it up. A new message. From her manager, you're late. Execs are upset. We need to fix this now, or they'll replace you. Replace you. The words didn't even sting. She was tired. Tired of pretending to be someone she wasn't. Tired of hiding the pain that never truly left. Tired of putting on a smile when her soul was shaking. She texted back, I need one day. Just one. No reply. But she didn't care. She pulled on a hoodie, sunglasses, and left the apartment. She didn't even know where she was going until she found herself walking the long stretch of Melrose Avenue, passing the same coffee shop she and Keanu had visited months ago. Back then, they were still strangers, working together, but never talking too much. Then came that one afternoon. A quiet lunch. No makeup, no paparazzi. Just two people, two coffees, and stories about childhood. He had told her about his sister, about how he used to protect her when she was sick. Ana had listened, tears burning behind her eyes. No one knew this side of him. Gentle, slow, honest, and now, somehow, that honesty had found her again. She stepped inside the cafe and sat at the same table. The waitress looked at her and smiled. You want your usual? Ana blinked. Q. Remember? The woman nodded. You and your quiet friend. He always tipped more than the bill. Ana smiled faintly. Yeah, that sounds like him. She waited there for an hour, sipping her drink. And just when she was about to leave, her phone buzzed. A name flashed across the screen. Keanu, she answered quickly. Hi, I figured. You'd go there, he said calmly. How did you know? Because it's where people go when they want to feel safe. Ana paused. You're not far, are you? Look outside. She turned. There he was, standing across the street, hands in his coat pockets, just watching, not waving, not calling her over. Just being there, a quiet presence in a noisy world. She left her drink half-finished and crossed the street. You keep showing up, she said. Maybe that's the only thing I'm good at. Ana shook her head. That's not true. You're good at something else. What's that? Listening? Keanu nodded, but didn't respond. They walked in silence for a few blocks. The noise of traffic and people becoming background music. And then he spoke again. Did you read the back of the letter? Ana blinked. There's a back. He nodded. She pulled the paper from her pocket and turned it over. There, faint and faded, were more words. What you survive becomes your strength. What you accept becomes your peace. Her breath caught. You wrote this? She asked. Keanu didn't answer. Directly. He just said, someone gave it to me when I thought about quitting everything. What stopped you? A stranger who saw me? really saw me? Said the world doesn't need perfect. It needs honest. Ana stopped walking. She looked. At him, really looked. Then maybe you were sent to remind me of that, she whispered. He gave a small smile. Or maybe we're both just broken in the same way. Ana laughed through her tears. Is that comforting? A little. They found a bench near the park and sat again, like the night before. This time no rush, no shadows chasing them. What do you regret most? She asked him quietly. Keanu didn't hesitate, not saying goodbye to someone who meant everything to me. I thought I had time. But time doesn't care what you think. Ana stared ahead. My dad used to say, time was a mirror. It only shows you what you bring into it. Keanu nodded. That's wise. They sat in silence again. But this time, Ana didn't feel alone. Finally, she turned to him. I don't want to be afraid anymore, she said. I don't want to be quiet just to keep people comfortable. Then don't, he said. Be loud. Be real. The right people won't run. Ana looked at him. You're not going to run, are you? Keanu's. The voice was soft. I've already stayed. The interview-trapped morning was bright, but Ana felt cloudy inside. She had barely slept again. Her dreams kept replaying the same words. Be kind to your shadows. She carried the note in her bag now, folded gently. Tucked away like a secret only she and Keanu shared. Today was supposed to be normal. One quick interview with a popular entertainment network. She was told it would be short, sweet, and easy. Just a few basic questions about the movie, some red carpet talk, maybe a light joke or two. But the moment Ana walked onto the studio set, something felt wrong. There were too many lights. Too many fake smiles. The host greeted her with that overly polished voice, but her eyes were sharp, like a trap already set. Ana, you look stunning as always, she said, motioning to the chair. Let's talk about this latest project of yours. How's it going on set? Ana smiled politely. It's going well. It's very challenging, but exciting. Challenging? The host raised an eyebrow. We've heard some interesting things about breakdowns, delays, tension with the crew. Anything you'd like to clear up? Ana blinked. Excuse me? The host leaned in, pretending to care. Don't worry, we're just trying to get the full picture. There are a lot of rumors flying around. Diva behavior, storming off set, being difficult. Is any of that true? Ana froze. She hadn't expected this. She had agreed to this interview to promote her work, not to defend her mental health. She swallowed hard. Her voice shook slightly. I needed a moment for myself, that's all. The host didn't stop. Is it true that Keanu Reeves had to stay behind one night just to keep the team calm? Ana's heart dropped. What was this? How? What would you bring up, Keanu? She asked. Voice firmer now. Oh, just curious. You two seem close lately. Fans. Are talking? Are you together? Ana sat still. Too still. Inside, everything was cracking. This wasn't an interview. It was a performance designed to make her look unstable, reckless, dramatic. She stood up slowly, taking off the mic. I think we're done here. Ana, come on, this is just a conversation, the host said, still smiling. No, it's not, Ana said quietly. It's a setup. And I'm not playing your game. She walked out of the studio with shaking hands and tears in her throat. Outside, the wind hit her face, and for a second, she couldn't breathe. Her phone buzzed. A message from Keanu. Are you okay? How did he always know? She didn't reply right away. Instead, she walked 3 blocks until she found a quiet alley. With a mural painted on the wall, it was a large blue bird breaking through a cage. Freedom, she sat on the curb, and finally, texted back. Ana, they tried to break me today. They almost did. 2 minutes passed. Then her phone buzzed again. Keanu, I'm already on my way. 15 minutes later, he pulled up in a simple black car. No driver, no flashy entrance, just him. She got in, said nothing. He didn't ask questions. They drove in silence for a while until Keanu turned into the hills. They stopped at a quiet lookout spot above the city. The view was endless. Of traffic far below, the lights just beginning to flicker on as the sun dipped low. He handed her a bottle of water. She took it with a soft thank you. You okay? He finally asked. Ana nodded. I will be. What did they say? She looked at him. They tried to twist everything, make me doubt myself, make me feel small. And worst of all, they brought up your name like it was bait. Keanu sighed, his hands gripping the steering wheel lightly. I'm sorry, he said. Don't be, she whispered. You didn't do anything wrong, but I could have protected you better. Ana turned in her seat to face him. You already did, she said. Last night, the night before that. Just being there. He looked down. His voice was lower now. I know what it feels like to be misunderstood, to have people make stories about you. It hurts more when you're trying to be honest. Ana nodded. Exactly. He reached into the glove compartment and pulled out a tiny notebook. It was worn, almost falling apart. He flipped through a few pages and tore one out. I wrote this. Years ago, he said, for myself, maybe it's for you now. Ana opened the paper slowly. It read, You do not have to explain your healing to anyone. You do not have to bleed for people to believe you're wounded. Ana felt her chest tighten. Where do you keep finding these? She asked softly. They come from the worst moments, Keanu replied. I just write to survive. Ana stared. Out at the city below. Maybe I need to start writing too. Keanu nodded. It helps. Even when it doesn't fix things. They sat there until the sun vanished completely. And the city below became a sea of lights. Ana turned to him once more. Thank you for showing up, she said. You don't have to thank me, he replied. I do, because it matters. Reached into her own bag and pulled out the original note he had given her. She placed it beside the new one. These are the first words in a long time that made me feel like I wasn't broken. She said. Keanu looked at her. Really looked. You're not broken, Ana. You're breaking open. There's a difference. Didn't reply, not with words. She just closed her eyes and let the quiet wrap around her like a blanket. The night of silence invitation had come 2 weeks ago. Ana had almost forgotten about it. A charity gala, black tie, full of stars, cameras, press, questions. The kind of event that used to excite her, now it only made her feel tired. She stared. At the dress hanging in her closet, silver, elegant, beautiful. It shimmered in the soft light, untouched. Her phone buzzed. Message from Keanu, you going tonight? She stared at the screen for a while, then replied, Not sure. A few seconds later, another message. If you go, I'll be standing beside you. She smiled without meaning to. Not because of the words, but because of the calm they brought. He never pressured, never pushed. He only showed up. She thought about everything that had happened. The ambush interview, the rumors spreading online, the silence from her own team who still hadn't defended her. But in all of it, Keanu had remained steady, still, like a lighthouse that refused to move no matter how hard the storm hit. Ana slowly got dressed. At the gala, the lights were everywhere. Photographers waited like hunters, flashes exploding every time a celebrity stepped out. People shouted names, reporters yelled questions. The music pulsed from behind the thick doors of the venue. She hesitated inside. The car her driver looked at her in the mirror. You ready? Ana opened the door, heels clicking against the pavement. She had taken just 3 steps before she heard someone call out, Ana, is it true you're dating Keanu? Or flashes. Ana, are the rumors about you walking off set true? A microphone was shoved close to her face. Her throat tightened. But before she could speak, another voice broke through. .com. Steady. Unmistakable. If you're going to ask questions, Keanu said, walking up beside her, make sure they're real ones. He stood tall, dressed simply but sharp, his hand resting lightly on her back. Not possessive, not performative, just a quiet support. The reporters paused, confused, unsure how to respond. Keanu nodded toward the entrance. Shall we? Ano didn't say anything, just walked with him, side by side, heart pounding, head held high. Inside the room buzzed with chatter. Chandeliers glittered overhead. Tables filled with Hollywood's brightest smiled and whispered as she passed. Some smiled politely, some looked away. Ana saw the chair with her name on it. At a round table near the center, she pulled Keanu gently toward a quieter corner instead, to chairs near a balcony door. No spotlights. No crowd. You didn't have to do that, she said. Double quotes, I know, Keanu replied. But you did. He looked at her. Because when people throw noise at you, someone has to bring the silence. Ana looked down at her hands. It's been so loud lately, I don't know who to trust anymore. Keanu's voice was soft. Then trust yourself. What if I'm wrong? Then you learn. But you don't stop trusting. She blinked back tears. A host walked by and greeted Keanu warmly. They talked briefly, and the host asked if Keanu would be willing to say a few words for the charity. Keanu glanced at Ana. Only if my friend stands beside me. Ana laughed nervously. I can't speak. Not tonight. You don't have to say a word. Just stand with me. Moments later, they were on stage together. Keanu stepped up to the mic. Ana stayed behind him, just slightly. He began, Good evening. We're here to support something bigger than ourselves. That's why this night matters. Applause. But then he paused, looking out at the crowd. I also want to say something about kindness, he continued. This industry doesn't always reward it. Sometimes it forgets it. But I haven't, and I won't. People listened, now, the room falling quiet. When someone is struggling, and they need space, when they walk away to breathe, it doesn't mean they're weak. It means they're human. The silence deepened. Ana's breath caught. Keanu finished simply. I stand with those who choose honesty over performance. He stepped back, and when he turned to Ana, the entire room turned to people saw her, not the headlines, not the gossip, but the real her. Ana didn't cry. She didn't shake. She just reached out and took his hand. The crowd rose to its feet, not because of fame, but because of truth. Afterwards, as they stood outside beneath the stars, Ana turned to him. That was the first time I felt like myself. In weeks, Keanu looked up at the sky. You were always yourself. They just tried to convince you otherwise. Ana smiled. A real one, you know, she said. You don't talk much. But when you do, he raised an eyebrow. What? You tear down walls people didn't even know they had? Keanu laughed. Just say what I needed to hear back then. Stood there for a long time, no one around, no cameras. Just quiet air and two people who had found something re-understanding without condition. The moment everything went quiet, 3 days had passed since the gala. But the world hadn't gone quiet. Ana had expected the headlines. She had prepared for the online noise. But nothing could have prepared her for how the story had twisted overnight. Keanu and Ana. Secret relationship revealed. Ana leans on Keanu sources. Say he's saving her career. Ana breaks down. Keanu steps in as her guardian. That word burned. They made it sound like she was broken beyond repair. Like she needed someone to carry her. It's like she was weak. She sat alone in her apartment, the articles open on her laptop, her phone buzzing with messages from people who hadn't checked on her in months. Now they all wanted quotes, comments, appearances. Her manager had texted again, Ride the wave, Ana. Public loves a comeback story. Especially with a man like him beside you. She stared at the screen, then deleted the message. She didn't want a comeback story. She wanted a real one. The doorbell rang. She opened it slowly. Keanu stood there, holding 2 coffees. His face calm as always, but there was something different in his eyes today. Something heavier. Can we talk? He asked. Ana nodded and stepped aside. They sat on the couch, the coffee untouched between them. You've seen the headlines, Ana said first. Yeah, he replied. They've made me your project, like I'm someone you're fixing. Keanu looked down. I know, and I'm sorry. You didn't do anything wrong, she said. But this? Starting to feel like I don't have a voice again, like I'm being shaped into whatever story they want. He nodded slowly. It's my fault too. I spoke for you at the gala. I thought I was helping. Maybe I overstepped. Ana shook her head. No. What you said was beautiful. Honest. It helped. But something's changed. Now people only see us as a pair. They think I'm surviving because of you, not because of me. Keanu sat still, quiet, absorbing every word. I want to stand on my own, she whispered. I know, he said softly, and you should. They sat in silence for a long time. Then Keanu stood. Maybe it's time I step back, he said, that you have the space you need. Ana's heart dropped. She hadn't expected that. She thought he would argue, reassure her, tell her they'd figure it out together, but he didn't. He respected her words so deeply that he was willing to walk away. Just like that, she asked, barely breathing. I care about you too much to stay, if staying makes things worse. Ana stood too. Her voice trembled. But I don't want you to leave. Then what do you want? She didn't know. Everything was tangled. She was exhausted. Pulled between truth and attention, healing and headlines. I want to be seen for who I am, she finally said. Keanu looked at her, then be loud about it, louder than their stories. And what if I fail? Then fail your way, not theirs. Ana took a deep breath. You're not just someone who waited for me, she said. You reminded me how to wait for myself. Keanu's eyes softened, and now I think it's time I take the next step alone. It hurt to say it, but it felt right. He nodded slowly. Then I'll be here. Not in front, not behind. Just nearby, Ana stepped closer. You're not my crutch, Keanu. You're my mirror. You showed me my strength when I couldn't see it. He smiled gently. That's all I ever wanted. They didn't hug. They didn't cry. They just stood there in the quiet. Sometimes goodbye isn't loud. Sometimes it's gentle, respectful, temporary. As Keanu turned to leave, Ana called out softly, Can I ask you something? He looked back. Who waited for you? She asked. He hesitated, then answered with something she'd never forget. Someone who's gone now? But even in their silence, they still teach me how to listen. And then he walked away. Ana stood at the window and watched him disappear down the street. And for the first time in a long time, she wasn't afraid to be alone. When the silence speaks, back weeks passed, the world moved on, as it always did. Stories changed, attention shifted. The headlines about Ana and Keanu faded behind newer, shinier news, but inside Ana's world, everything had slowed down. For the first time in years, she wasn't filming, she wasn't touring, she wasn't posting. Instead, she was just still. She spent her days writing in a small notebook Keanu had once given her. Each morning, she sat by the window with her tea and wrote whatever came, no filters, no edits. Just truth. Some pages were full of pain. Some pages were full of peace. But all of them were hers. And every night, before sleeping, she read the folded paper Keanu had given her. It had become a ritual. A reminder. Be kind to your shadows. On a quiet Sunday morning, her doorbell rang. She wasn't expecting anyone. She opened the door slowly. It wasn't Keanu. It was a small envelope, no name. No return address. It's just her name written neatly on the front. She opened it with careful hands. Inside was a single photo, her and Keanu sitting on the park bench weeks ago. Both of them laughing, unposed, unguarded. On the back, written in pen, you. Already had the light. You just forgot how to see it. Tears filled her eyes. She knew it was from him. No signature. Ain't no need. Keanu had always known when to speak and when to stay silent. And this time, his silence said more than any words could. Later, that day, Ana got into her car and drove out of the city. No destination in mind, just roads and time. She ended up by the ocean. It was nearly sunset. The sky was painted in colors no camera could ever truly capture. She stood barefoot in the sand, waves crashing softly, and closed her eyes. Everything. It felt quiet again. But it wasn't an empty quiet. It was full. Full of the moments she had lived, the pain she had carried, the strength she had rebuilt, the love she had given herself when no one else could. She whispered into the wind, not expecting anyone to hear. Thank you, Keanu. And somehow, In the space around her, it felt like the wind answered. The next morning, Ana sat at her kitchen table and opened her laptop. A blank document stared back at her. She began to type. This is not a story about a man saving a woman. This is a story about one soul reminding another how to return home to herself. She wrote for hours, not for the press, not for the studios, not for a comeback, for herself. By evening, she received a message from a small publishing house. Had read her recent essay online, the one she quietly posted without fanfare. They wanted more. They said her words felt honest, necessary. She smiled not because of the offer, but because someone had seen her, truly seen her, without lights, without cameras. That night, as she prepared for bed, her phone buzzed. Message from Keanu. Heard your essay. You didn't just speak, you soared, she replied simply. I found my voice again. His response came a minute later. You never lost it. How do you just got tired of screaming into the wrong rooms? Ana placed her phone down, curled up under the blanket, and for the first time in months slept peacefully. No fear, no noise, no need to be anyone else but herself. Months later, Ana stood backstage at a small writers' festival. It wasn't Hollywood. No red carpet, no paparazzi, just readers, not quiet thinkers, just people who wanted truth. She stepped up to the microphone and looked out at the crowd. I used to believe that. Being seen meant being everywhere, she said. Now I know being seen means being honest. Applause. In the back row, one person stood quietly, wearing a black jacket, sunglasses tucked in his hand. Just watching. He didn't wave. He didn't. Ana smiled at him and kept speaking. Not because she needed saving, but because she had finally saved herself.